No, I got more for you. Get prepared. We are entering deep and dark waters of SHTF. Yes, indeed we are, folks. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. And Jolene, I just got your message. Thank you very much. It's a nice compliment. I did my best with that situation. Anyways, folks, the week has just started. It has just started, and it has hit the fan big time. Pow! Right out the gate. You know what I'm saying to you? Anyways, where do we start? Well, this is our hour broadcast. I'm going to do 30 minutes. First 30 minutes is me. You guys get the bottom half of the hour with Q&A. So get your questions into Jolene. And I've got a special product that I want to pump out there. I want to pimp this stuff out there. Just for fun, folks. Have fun, right? Smile when you can, because we got plenty of shit sandwich for everyone.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. Look, yesterday or over the weekend, Joe Biden and his wife, the good doctor, not a medical doctor, I think a doctor of changing Depends underwear. Anyways, that doctor, First Lady and Joe demonstrated again what giant hypocrites they are, and they're liars. Well, Jen Psaki came out and she did it. She did it, folks. She defended Joe Biden over what? Joe Biden and his wife showed up in a Washington, D.C. restaurant. The city has a mask mandate. The restaurant has a mask requirement. And they didn't wear their masks, and they were filmed. They're liars, or they want to get people sick. They're hypocrites, or they just think nobody sees them and they're going to get away with it. Anyways, Jen Psaki comes out and lectures Peter Doocy, a member of the press, for overly focusing on Biden's hypocrisy. Sounds to me like she didn't really deny the fact that, yeah, he wants everyone to mask up, but, except when it's him. It was great, terrific. They pointed it out. And she didn't deny it. She just criticized him, lectured him for overly focusing. Hey, he's the president. Just give him a break, would you? Come on, man. I had to start off with that, folks. The come on, man, the Uncle Sniffy commercial for hair cream. And I want to thank Mr. T again, who's doing a lot of these little things. And I can't wait till we get Nancy Pants Pelosi. What does she got? Beauty tips, favorite alcoholic beverages. AOC, and she has tooth polish to make her pearly whites look extra big, right? I'm sure there's a lot of commercials that he's got, but he's doing a lot. Folks, everyone's doing stuff and volunteering. This is a team effort, the Prepared Mind Network. Team effort. And I want to thank everybody for participating in it and understanding, hey, the show is not about you, and it's not just about me. It's about all of this stuff. It's about everything, about shit hitting the fan, being prepared, having all of the items, right? Knowing we have a network of channels that we operate through, that we have the preparedmind.club, your store, where someday I'm hoping to carry the Joe Biden shampoo. For now, we can't. For now, Uncle Sniffy's is not available on the network. But yeah, preparedmind.club. Patreon is where you guys guerrilla fund what's going on here. And I want to thank you, folks. But those backup channels are critical. Over the weekend, I thought we got a hit here on the main channel, a strike. And it turns out it was one of our super secret back channels that we keep just for testing videos. It got hammered, and it's okay. It's okay. No, it didn't affect your ability here to see things, which is the purpose of having all these backup channels. But here they are, and I recommend subscribing and hitting the notification bell so that when things come up, you know about it. You bet. Pull the plug. Now, in memory of a dearly departed, I guess you could say, terrorist, Antifa had someone die. So in response, folks, they rioted and caused another $500,000 in damage in Portland, Oregon. But it's just an idea. Folks, I tell you what, if I had $500,000, I would not just go set fire to it in the street and go, yay, riot. Right, $500,000 in damage. Again, I think I asked this the other day. Maybe it was just last night. Do you want to move to Portland? Do you want your kids to be raised in Portland, Oregon? Do you want to pay taxes in Portland? Do you trust the police in Portland who won't lift a finger to stop these scumbag criminals? I mean, would you take your investment money, your nest egg, your retirement funds and say, here you go, Portland, make Portland beautiful so that Antifa can come through next week and burn it the fuck down? Unbelievable, folks, what is going on. It is stunning what they're doing. Absolutely stunning. Now, speaking of stunning, I have to be very careful on this. Now, on Patreon, folks, I can send you news, video, all kinds of stuff that, well, you know, certain social media companies and big tech giants would call misinformation that you aren't allowed to think about. You can't make decisions for yourself according to them. Here on this channel, folks, I'll present you information, news, opinion, and say, here you go. What do you think? This is what I think. You can make your own decisions for your prepping: food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Huh? I don't tell you what to believe, folks. I just talk about stuff. My goal and objective is to get you prepared, though. That's it. Provide a little entertainment, give you something to do, to smile over, right? Also scare the shit out of you with what them, Washington, D.C., big corporations, what they're doing. Not me. I'm not doing any of this shit. All this SHTF stuff, I'm not doing a bit of it. It's not my fault. But I will tell you about it. And sometimes, yeah, it's going to scare the shit out of you. Now, I want to talk about Japan. Japan. This is important, folks. Now, you can get the full article with all of the probably misinformation. You can get all of that at The Prepared Mind on Patreon, right? Patreon.com. But Japan has never had, folks, a cerveza bug lockdown. I haven't talked about Japan a whole lot. I've talked about Sweden and what they did. But Japan has never really had that. And now, folks, it has less than 100 cases of cerveza bug a day. Interesting, is it not? How is that possible? Less than 100 a day. Woohoo, Japan, way to go. I don't know what they did. They must have, maybe they had the Jim Jones juice from day one and they just didn't tell anybody. Didn't tell anybody, right? Japan has largely been irrelevant in the news cycle. Well, I think it should be a little more relevant. And speaking of irrelevant, folks, it appears that Democrats are once again labeling you as deplorable, you as disposable. Patriots, that is anyone who's not in a blue city, are irrelevant, folks. Right? Senator Joe Manchin, I think his name is Joe Manchin, who's a Democrat. I think he represents West Virginia. I'm got a full plate here. But Democrat Illinois Representative Sean Casten said West Virginia's economy, the coal economy, right? The coal, as in coal produces like a third to half of the country's electricity. You like turning on that light switch? You like opening that cold refrigerator? You like flipping on those computers and televisions? You like charging your electric vehicle? Thank coal for that. You bet. So Representative Sean Casten said that West Virginia's economy is irrelevant. That's right. It was Senator Joe Manchin who basically criticized the Build Back Better Act, right? The Clean Energy Performance Program, I get it. They're trying to clean up the air. I'm all good for that. But what are you going to replace that coal with? Well, they're not. But, just to label, folks, to label a state, the economy of West Virginia relies on coal production. Hello. Kind of like Las Vegas relies on people gambling. Right? The coal industry employs 30,000 West Virginians. It added almost 13 billion to the state's economy. 13 billion from itty bitty little West Virginia, little bitty rural West, little bitty conservative, traditional, red-blooded. Some of them Bible clinging, probably more of them gun-toting West Virginians. Well, once again, folks, this is what Democrats, socialist, fascist, communist type Democrats believe. If you don't like them, or they don't like you rather, you are irrelevant. You are a deplorable. You are less than human to them, folks. And man, oh man, have I got some stuff for you on this. In Australia, folks, they built COVID camps, quarantine camps. You've heard about it, where if you're sick, they're going to send you there. Well, interestingly, there's one province there in Australia where they have the Mickleham quarantine camp. And this is in the state of Victoria. And they're saying basically they don't need them. Well, a politician was asked about it. And he said this: we will have Mickleham at the beginning of the next pandemic, whenever that might be. We'll have Mickleham whenever next there is a massive bushfire event and we need somewhere to put hundreds and hundreds of people who have lost their homes. We will have Mickleham for all sorts of reasons, and we'll have Mickleham for in just a few months for people who come back here and who are not vaccinated, or when another variant pops up. In other words, Mickleham is a concentration camp center in Australia waiting to be used. Well, for people who are sick, or for people who don't obey the government and their demands, whatever those new demands may be. Do you like the sound of that, America? Well, we do have our FEMA camps here, and we do have these prison centers and everything else that the government has built, and it's like, well, what's that for? Don't you worry, folks. A use for it will come up at some point. It will. Maybe in the state of Washington, they'll do something like this so they can put their own state troopers, folks. Oh, you bet. This is good. Earlier, a Washington state trooper, he went on his radio on his last day at the job, and he did a long sign off. He says, "This is my final sign off after 22 years." Folks, after 22 years as a state law enforcement patrol officer, he signed off. He says, after 22 years of serving the citizens of the state of Washington, I'm being asked to leave because I'm, quote, dirty. Right? And he went on to thank those that he thanked, and he said, and Jay Inslee can kiss my ass. Folks, Jay Inslee is the governor of Washington, and his dirtiness, his uncleanness, is that he refused the state order or requirement, if you will, to inject his body with aborted fetal tissue. That's what he did, folks. Now, that aborted fetal tissue may have been part of, the Jim Jones juice. You bet. Uh-oh. COVID sneeze. Anyways, Ron LeMay is the ex-state trooper And he's gone on to speak on the Fox News channel about being fired. This is dividing the country big time right now, folks. It's over the lawlessness or lawfulness of what's being done. All right. Now, I don't want to spend all the time on Cerveza Bug. As usual, I like to talk about other things that are going on in our country right now. And this one's more of a personal question I have for you guys. Kind of a personal deal. I want you to think about this. Think about your friends you've talked to. Think about people you know personally or maybe even secondhand. How many people are feeling old injuries right now? It's not winter. We don't have cold and aches and all that shit. But already I'm hearing that people are kind of feeling their injuries. Knee injuries, back pain, neck pain, muscle soreness. And you're not even sick. You just feel like you've been beaten down a little bit. I wonder how many of you are experiencing something like that, or someone you know, family members, co-workers, etc. If you would take some note, mental note, or write it down if you prefer, but I would like to ask you to do that, to take some mental note at least of what is going on. I'm getting some anecdotal reports, and I want to see if I can more fully substantiate the fact that people are suffering from what might be considered old injuries resurfacing. And after I get more information from you guys, I'll share with you my opinions on the matter. So we're going to do a little test. We're going to do some research. Won't be fully scientific. Won't be Dr. Doom quality, but it's certainly going to be something I want to talk about. Now, this is another big deal that's popped up, folks. The Atlanta Braves had a game. Atlanta Braves are a professional baseball team based out of Atlanta. And you know, Atlanta is Ted Turner, headline news network, CNN, headquartersville. It's Coca-Cola land, Atlanta, Georgia. But they had a reporter there who got triggered by the Tomahawk chop at the Atlanta Braves game, right? The Tomahawk chop. Now, I sent all of this to many friends, including Native Americans that I know and people who are married to Native Americans, to ask, what do you think of this? Right? So what happened? Let me tell you what happened first. Apparently, they were doing the Tomahawk chop and the Tomahawk chop chant, right, at Atlanta. And I guess they turned the lights off to the stadium. Number one, I think that's a serious safety violation. You've got 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people in a stadium. I mean, it's the playoffs. Fucking stadium's packed. You turn the lights off, people can't see where they're going. Anyways, the fans did not stop. The fans kept going. In fact, the fans got louder. And the fans took their phones and lit them up. Flashlight, and were doing the Tomahawk chop with a flashlight going. Now, that reminds me of an Ericsson phone commercial from 20 fucking years ago, where the power went out at the stadium during a football game, and the fans all pushed the button on their little Ericsson phones that lit up with a green glow, and they could play the game. Yeah. Anyways, folks, this is 2021 with the woke agenda, people being punished. Hey, if you don't shut up with that stuff, we're going to shut this game down. Folks, I thought it was okay to be Native or a person of color. I thought it was good to celebrate the warrior culture of traditions and cultures of color. Except, you know, white culture is war-based, and that white culture and that war-based warrior, that's bad. But if you're a person of color or tradition of color or culture of color, being a warrior is good. And, right, isn't a brave, a Native American brave, isn't that like a soldier to be a brave? The Atlanta Braves. Anyways, are we supposed to be, let's ask this, are we supposed to be ashamed of Native Americans and the adoption of a chant that celebrates the strength of Native culture, tradition, and the peoples? Right? Now, I'm actually, me personally, I'm pleased to see the fans of Atlanta's team named after the proud Native American warrior called a brave, right? Which incidentally is what America is the land of, is it not? The home of the free and brave, yada, 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 right? Glad the baseball fans don't care that the woke justice warrior think, they don't care what they think. The justice warrior, oh wait, social justice warriors are good and woke, but Native American warriors, the braves, are bad. I see, right? Many Native Americans, folks, by the way, that I've talked to, love seeing and hearing this attitude, the celebration of the chop. And again, I sent this out and got responses from everybody I sent it to. And some people are like, I'm glad to see the chop is alive and well, right? Oh, by the way, also the Cleveland Indians, formerly called the Cleveland Indians, they should be ashamed of renaming their team, as should the former Redskins football organization, right? Why is this? What the fuck, right? Should we erase all likenesses and images of Native Americans, kind of like Land O'Lakes Butter took the female Native American icon, legendary Land O'Lakes icon? Well, they kept the butter, kept the property, the lake, and got rid of the Native American. As a female Native American once joked with me about. She's like, well, there they again, screwed the Indians out of the lake. They, just fuck. Incredible, folks. Should we erase the likenesses and the names and images of Native Americans? Shouldn't we also take the names, Native American names, off of streets and cities and schools and counties and lakes and vehicles, right? Should we take it all away and rename it something else? Anything that is a Native name or sounds like it could be Native, should we get rid of it? Or should we celebrate Native Americans and their place, their important place in our history, iconography, our names, how it's influenced our culture? Yes, that's right, even into stupid pop sports culture with the chop. Would America be better, folks? And I'm going to ask this and then move on. Would America be better if we hide natives on social media reservations where no one can ever hear about them? You know, that's probably one of the nastier parts of the whole Native American story, is that the government, oh yeah, government, government that likes to tell people what to do, make demands on them, tell them where they have to go, where they can and can't go, created the reservation system where they could hide their problems. The government could hide their problems, right? Should we do that with the Native American iconography? Is that what we're supposed to do? The Braves, the Indians, the Chiefs, the Redskins. Florida and other states and colleges have huge numbers of, like the flag, I think it's Florida Seminoles, right? There's I believe, a warrior tribe that never surrendered to the United States government, folks. I think, if I remember that correctly. Yeah, they don't want to talk about that, do they? Well, let's move on if we shall. Folks, I'm so glad that we have Gigi Biden in the White House. Unprecedented, brilliant guy. He fixed all of our problems. He united the country. The economy's going great guns. You can buy any toy you want for your kids for Christmas. Everyone breathes a lot better. No, wait, none of those things. No one breathes better. They're stuck having to suck air through a mask in a lot of places. The economy's in shambles. You can't get stuff. And that's what I want to talk about here. Folks, it appears that crane operators in the Port of Los Angeles are making the problem worse. They make $200,000 to $250,000 a year. Crane operators. Now, I don't begrudge them that salary, folks. I don't. But let's take a look a little deeper at what's going on, folks. So Biden claims to have fixed the problem. Oh, yeah, we're going to fix this problem, and we're going to 24/7 out of the ports to fix the problem, right? So Biden fixes the problem, and everyone goes back to work. The crane operators, the truck, everyone goes back to work. But it takes, according to many truckers, 4 hours to load a single container. Up to 4 hours. Sometimes truckers are told, come down, get a container. And they go down and they park all day and they can't have the container put on their truck. They spend an entire day, truckers who make a tiny fraction, relatively speaking, to these crane operators, folks. Hell, I'd love to make $200,000, $250,000 a year. Shit, who wouldn't? Most Americans go, fuck, I'll take that. You bet. And if you complain, if a trucker complains about how long they had to wait, they complain about the speed at which things are handled, guess what? They're punished. They're told to leave the port facility. They're not allowed back. The container they're supposed to be picking up, they start having to pay literally a fine because, right, it's been there too long. So, folks, here it is. The commie union port crane operators are intentionally going slow to exacerbate this problem of what? Getting items into America, into the economy, at least somewhat, so we can function somewhat. They're going slow intentionally. The union spokeslady, folks, said the port is operating at historic rates. Yeah, folks, historically slow. This is all intentional. Folks, as far as I'm concerned, the unions need to be broken up for failing to properly serve the public. It's my opinion, and I know it's not a popular opinion, that corporations and unions are, well, they're corporations. They don't have natural rights like you and I do as human beings. I was born, I have natural rights, the natural ability to walk, to defend myself, to make money. Government just gets in the way of those things and charges me money for it. But a union doesn't exist. It's just a piece of paper. A corporation is just a piece of paper. So in order to be allowed to operate, they're supposed to serve public interest. They have failed. After, folks, they have gotten good wages for their people in the unions, right? $250,000 a year. And this is how they want to reward us and thank us. Folks, all of these problems are political, they're intentional, and they're abusive. And they should be deemed illegal. The shippers and the truckers, folks, like the ships offshore that are waiting to get unloaded by a crane operator who can take up to 4 hours to lift one fucking container. This part of the longshoremen's union, folks. The shippers and truckers should sue the fucking union and sue these operators after filming the slow pace at what they work. All right, showing the serious dollar cost, dollar loss for this coordinated effort to fuck all of us in America. Shit has hit the fan. This week is just started, folks. It is just started. There is so much more going on. There's so much more that is going to happen. And I've got a ton here, folks. Where do we go next? I mean, really, I don't know if you guys know who Wendy Williams is. Famous person in some social media circles. Has been suffering for a month with serious complications. Probably had some Kool-Aid, if you take my meaning. Oh yeah, she had the Kool-Aid. Wendy, and this is a tweet. The Wendy Williams Show will start airing again on Monday, October 18th, with an exciting lineup of guests. Oh, I mean guest hosts and panels to be announced shortly. Wendy, though, you know, here's the thing. Wendy continues to be under medical supervision and meets with her medical team on a daily basis. She is experiencing serious complications as a direct result of the Graves' disease and her thyroid condition. It has been determined that more time is needed before she is able to return to her live hosting duties. It is sad to say that this Wendy Williams person, folks, has suffered a serious reaction. Well, I guess we need to keep guilting each other into taking the Jim Jones juice, huh? It's incredible to me, folks. Celebrities represent a tiny, tiny fraction of the population. whether it's sports celebrities, entertainment celebrities, news celebrities, political celebrities, even the, oh, by the way, I'm Jim. I'm John's twin brother, Jim. I think you guys are finally catching on to how I do so much and get so much work done. I wanted to let everyone know I'm Jim, pretending to be John, but we are identical twins. Anyways, that's how we get it done, folks. It's two guys doing the work of one. Okay, now, back to celebrities. There's very few of us out here. Very few of us out here. And to hear of so many celebrities, sports figures, newscasters, oh yeah, Colin Powell, another famous political / military figure. How many people are being injured or dying in and about and around the time they get a big old suck of Kool-Aid, right? Hank Aaron, the basketball pros we've talked about, the tennis pros we've talked about. They're getting serious complication, folks. When is America going to wake up? When are those pushing the poison pills, folks? When are they going to stop it? Well, there was an actual peaceful protest that occurred in New York City. You bet. There was called the World Freedom Rally against mandates. And they took over Times Square in New York City. Crowd marched through the streets chanting, "Wake up, New York." Folks, people are waking up. People are protesting. People are saying, not going to do it, not going to do it, not going to do it. And I want to give you another example. People are not going to do it, right? It's incredible. Here we are. Here's the other one. Bus drivers, fucking bus drivers. There's over 140 school bus routes that are canceled in Seattle alone. 140. Did you know that school bus drivers are part of the they're part of the vast right-wing domestic terrorist network? Remember when Hillary Clinton said that, Bill Clinton getting caught, sexually proposing, harassing, and in some cases was charged with, Juanita Broderick rape, sexual assault. Right? And she said it was a vast right-wing conspiracy to get Bill in trouble. Vast right-wing domestic terrorist conspiracy network. Did you know that bus drivers were part of that? Because in Seattle alone, 140 school bus routes have canceled now because they're refusing. Cops are refusing. School bus drivers are refusing. Postal workers are refusing. Airline pilots are refusing. Medical doctors and nurses are refusing. They're refusing everywhere. The country is not 80%, 70%. I'm guessing, folks, the actual percentage rate is a lot lower. And I'm more than glad to donate the Jim Jones juice they had lined up for me. I'll gladly give it to somebody else so they can get a third or a fourth. Because, hey, if 2 shots is good, man, 3 shots of tequila, 4 shots of tequila is even better, right? But I've gone over my time allotment. You guys are set. Hey, folks, last night, we went almost 3 hours at the zoo. And boy, did that whip my ass. I got to tell you. So let's do this. Let's get to your questions, see what you guys want to talk about, and get this week rolling with a BAMMM Pow stunning start.
Are you ready?
Woo! We're back, folks. It is your turn. We switch, and we don't really have commercials. We have bumpers, and we have some fun stuff here. And I would thank Mr. T for that. We try and keep it light with such dark, gruesome material. Folks, the world has taken an absolute dump, right? You ever see a cow go to the bathroom? Talking about a mess, right? That's a lot of shit. And, well, shit has hit the fan. Not a pretty scene. So we got Bonnie Blue checks in. And thank you for sending me the email as well, Bonnie Blue. Just popped up. She says, they are already blaming us. The unjabbed on the supply chain shortages. Work stoppages will play right into their plans. Oh, you bet. You see, us rascally people who demand our rights. And there was a New York judge to make the point salient. A New York City judge involved in a domestic child, custody argument. It's a custody dispute. The judge came in and said the father cannot see the daughter or the child because he is unvaxxed. And the judge went on to say that the conspiracy theory thinking that was espoused by the defendant, the idea that there's some sort of rights that he has to see a child and stay unvaccinated, were mythical. He described how we think of our rights as mythical, kind of like the First Amendment right to free speech and the practice of your religion. The Second Amendment right, folks, to keep and bear arms. Did you know that these were conspiracy theory myths? Did you know that, yeah, being free from unreasonable searches and seizures and being fucked with by the government, that's all a myth. According to these people are creating an entire new America that they want to basically bury us under, right? It's incredible. And I want to thank you, Bonnie Blue, for all the hard work you do and all the effort you give us here at the Prepared Mind Network. Yeah, they are setting this up. Let's not blame the Kool-Aid for what happened to General Colin Powell. And don't forget how indignant he was, folks, when he realized he was being used to push the weapons of mass destruction lie on Congress and America. And then he found out it was a lie. Still, folks, you know, he was a good soldier and took his lickings there. He was used upon, and now he has passed away. But let's not blame what we probably think caused the complications, right? He was at Walter Reed Hospital, the military's premier hospital with the premier doctors. This man, Colin Powell, was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He was the Secretary of State, I believe. Secretary of State, was he not? That's a pretty high guy. Shouldn't he have gotten the very best medical attention? How is it that he managed to die? Whatever happened to him, folks, must have been really bad. Because remember, I mean, he was 84, not a young guy, Colin Powell, not a young guy, I get it. But still, President Trump, he's another fucking fossil. I've heard of men, patients in their 90s who got cerveza bug. Oh, wait a minute. They didn't go to Walter Reed. I was thinking of horse paste and getting better. Let's not talk about any of these ideas, folks. Let's just move on. Oh, we see Alec here. He says, thank you for everything you do, Jim. Remember, I'm Jim. For 2 weeks, the guy in this chair will be Jim, not John. Jim has been here since Friday. Me, Jim. I just look just like John. I need YouTube to understand that, okay? John apparently is the one who gets strikes. So John had to take 2 weeks off. But me, twin brother Jim, I step in and we share the workload. All righty. Anyways, he says, thank you for everything you do, Jim. I've been watching you on YouTube since 2018 and just recently joined Patreon. Alec, thank you very much. Patreon, folks, is where you guys really fund everything we do. And I want to thank you for it. And it's also a great way for us to get you incredible amounts of information, postings, things we can't say or do or even get remotely close to on YouTube. Thank you so much, Alec. Now, moving on, we have Phantom Bar checks in. He says, November 1st, veterans that are not, if you don't get your tequila shot as a veteran, they will no longer be eligible for health care at the Veterans Administration hospitals. Phantom Bar says, I called them to confirm it. Many veterans are medicated for your safety, not theirs. What he's referring to is veterans of foreign wars. Our veterans who have seen combat and have PTSD. If there's different levels of PTSD, there's different levels of problem, there's trauma, folks, trauma. And of course, politicians in Washington, D.C., that place that isn't a state, the United States District of Columbia, where apparently they can hold you in prison for trespassing. Oh, and a video came out today showing police waving people in, like, just get in, hurry up. Yeah, that Washington, D.C., they think of veterans as dangerous and they should be disarmed and not have their rights unless they behave and do everything they're commanded to do. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much, Phantom Bar, for checking in that and confirming it. That as a veteran, if you don't get your Jim Jones juice, slurp down that Kool-Aid and chase it with a tequila shot. If you don't do that, you lose your benefits. Well, boy, howdy, folks. I guess I was right in never wanting to take and use my VA benefits. That's right, folks. I've never stepped foot in a VA hospital, never used, because I was like, I didn't join to get that. I guess I should have at some point figured out how, but fuck it. And now if this is what the government thinks of me, fuck them. I don't want their fucking benefits. I know a lot of people, though, need those benefits. They have, number one, earned them. Number two, they need them for medical conditions that they suffer as a result of their service to this country and to their fellow Americans. And it's wrong to take it. It's wrong to take it. Incredible. Speaking of veterans, Semper Fi to you, Steve. Steve, USMC No Tolerance checks in. He says, fun fact, Washington, that would be General George Washington. Washington had only 217,000 troops to fight the British in 1776. Thank you for that fun fact. I didn't know how many troops he had. That seems or sounds like a lot. Sounds like a lot. It wasn't until they came out of Valley Forge, though, where they really became a disciplined fighting force, and it was one hell of a thing, folks. Read the history of that fight against the British. It wasn't a day, it wasn't a battle, it wasn't an event. It was a process by which America woke up, realized the problem, decided to take action, unified enough to get the Declaration of Independence out. The Declaration of Independence, by the way, was created with the help of many patriots, but largely penned by Thomas Jefferson, whose statue is being removed from New York City Hall because, he was a bad guy, a racist. Woke mob is after him. Anyways, Declaration of Independence, forming an army and fighting the British for years, defeating tyranny and the tyrant. Wow. All righty. Bonnie Blue is back, and she says, Judicial Watch is calling for Pelosi to be held accountable for the unjustified shooting death of Ashley Babbitt. That is exactly what you sent me in the email, and I'm glad you brought it up here in the question section. Now, Judicial Watch is, I believe, Tom Fitton. It is an organization interested in law and order, truth and justice, and I'm just going to throw in there the American way. That's what they're interested in. It doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. If you have done something wrong, something unethical, something illegal, Judicial Watch is there watching what's going on. And I'm glad they're calling for Pelosi to be held accountable for the unjustified shooting death of Ashley Babbitt. That means there's a connection between Ashley and the officer that shot her. Many say without cause and unlawfully, and he needs to be held accountable. And somehow Nancy Pelosi is responsible for that. That information needs to come out, folks. It's breaking news. And perhaps I should open this up. Judicialwatch.com. There it is. I'll get right to you, Cottage Farm, in one moment. Let's see if we can just get to this. This is breaking news, folks. And that's interesting. I'm looking for Nancy Pelosi's involvement here. It is a long article. I think I'm going to have to digest this. This is at Judicial Watch's own website. But there's a lot of information, folks, about the records, the hiding of the records, the House floor, what was happening there with the Sergeant at Arms, what Nancy Pelosi ordered, et cetera, et cetera. We've got a lot of stuff going on in this country. And have you noticed that so much is going on that it's hard to keep up and keep track of it all? That's really what we try doing here. That's really what we're trying to do here, is put it all together, document it, if you will. Document it so you can decide for yourself what's important, what to believe. Do you need to prepare for SHTF for a week, a month, 3 months, a year? How bad could it be in your area? Those are all your decisions. I just provide information and recommend, hey, share this video with others. Do it. Do it now, right? Demons out. Let's get the good in and the bad out. We've got a hell of a fight coming, folks. And thank you again, Bonnie Blue, for that. Yes, there it is. She says, I believe it has to do with Pelosi having control of the Capitol Police. And yes, she did. Oh, that's from Prepared Mother. I had to go watch the Judicial Watch video. There's a lot to keep track of, folks. A lot of information to bring in. And I do my best to go with you on this documentary mission. And I want to thank you for supporting it again. So let's do this. Cottage Farm checks in. Jenny Jen says, I'm thankful. Jenny Jen as well. I'm thankful it's happening now rather than Mad Max SHTF, but it makes me think, what will I do if and when someone in our group gets ill? This is a problem. Cottage Farm says, my friend that had a stroke is still suffering. Hospital is making him wait 3 weeks to replace a stent, which is causing severe circulation and pain issues. He went from a very active person to disabled. I'm very sorry to hear that. Earlier, I brought up the idea. Are you feeling pain and discomfort? Whether you can, I'm talking about being unvaxxed, pain and discomfort, and you're unvaxxed. You're just a normal human being. Are you feeling old injuries coming to get you? Now, I had a friend in the medical industry contact me today personally and say they're having a shit pile of problems. They continue, even though testing negative for cerveza bug, to exhibit and feel like shit, feel terrible, crappy, just being around other people who have had it, the Jim Jones juice. Having all kinds of health issues, strength issues, right? That's what I'm trying to get to the bottom of this. This is a Prepared Mind investigation. I want to know who's having old issues come up. I'm wanting to know who's having new issues, who is feeling less than healthy. What are they taking? What are you taking to try and counteract what is going on? Can anything be taken at all? Now, of course, I'm not a doctor. I'm not an expert. And the information will be provided. If I can't talk about it here on camera, I'll talk about it on Patreon behind the scenes. And that's, once again, why I want everyone that I can get on Patreon, because there's so much information from recognized real authorities on the subject matter, not just the ones that the government wants you to believe. I think there's something bigger going on right now, folks, that is being unreported or underreported. And it's affecting all of us. I know a lot of people who are getting injured who haven't done anything. Very bizarre, very concerning. Okay, we got Josh checks in, says, Jim, that's me. I'm Jim. Right, John's got 2 weeks off. Basically, he is out building decks right now and making some repairs while I take the microphone back. This keeps me or us, or actually keeps John out of trouble with YouTube since he got a strike on Friday. I'm Jim, his identical twin brother. And yes, we work together, so we talk alike, sound alike, and indeed look alike. We cut our hair alike, grow the same beard. And it saves us a lot of money when we decide to date women. It's your turn. No, it's your turn. No, it's your turn. Anyways, Jim here, and he says, hey, Jim, thoughts about France dumping the US dollar? This is happening more and more. The dollar is the world reserve currency. Countries were told, if you want to buy oil from Saudi Arabia, OPEC countries, you've got to use US dollars to make the purchase. And so companies or countries would buy US dollars, exchange, trade, whatever, get dollars, and the world traded using the US dollar. Well, the bank, the Federal Reserve, the banking system, the United States government has protected that coveted position of having the world reserve currency, the petrodollar, for decades and decades and decades, and now it has come to an end. Countries are getting rid of their US bonds, dollars, right? Their bonds, their notes, their T-bills, whatever you want to call them, they're getting rid of it. They're getting rid of the dollars, and they're now trading in their own currencies, or trading, bartering, or trading gold to settle debt. And so it's not surprising that France would do the same thing, especially since Joe Biden, that's right, the Joe Biden, Gigi Biden, fuck America administration decided to screw France on a deal having to do with defense technology. Remember, it was just a couple of weeks ago that the United States, through the Biden administration, cut France out of the deal with Australia having to do with submarine technology. The French have been pissed off ever since. They retrieved their ambassadors from the U.S. They basically said, fuck you, we want a divorce from you, United States. And that is what our social fascist Nazi DC government has been up to. That's right, the DC government operates as a fascist government organization, working deals with private corporations to benefit those corporations so those corporations can turn around and finance the campaigns of their political allies. That is what fascism is, folks. The rich are getting richer, the poor, the middle class don't benefit. Doesn't that sound like the bankers and bailouts that the government works with? Who is the government, folks? It is elected officials. It's also bureaucracy. The same bureaucracy that stonewalled the Trump administration is working hand in hand with the Biden administration. Folks, it truly is called fascism. Fascism. Now, of course, the elite get their money, but the people in a fascist system, they get papers. Remember? Show me the papers, huh? Now it's show me your cerveza papers. This is a terrible thing that has been happening to our country, and it is now naked. And France, well, France didn't want to benefit the big guy, I guess, so they got cut out of the deal. This is about bringing down old alliances and creating new ones. It's about fundamentally changing America, changing the American system of governance. And Joe Biden has literally said, through Jen Psaki, of course, that the new economy that will be emerging, the new economy, the post-COVID economy, should be different. And under the Joe Biden administration, it will. How about a new 15% tax on all goods, paid to an international organization, right? I have to pay tax to an international organization now. Unfucking believable, folks, what they have planned and they're talking about doing to us. Yep, Kelly, it's me, aka Water Trucks. Hey, Kelly, thank you so much. Let's see what you have to say. You say, why was Bill Clinton flown to Southern California for treatment of a urinary tract infection? It's sepsis, right? Don't they have treatments for that back east? Well, there's a lot of information that I'm not fully aware of yet, Kelly. One of the guesses is that he was already in Southern California and it was so bad that he could no longer avoid seeking medical treatment. Typically, when you check into a hospital and say, I've got a problem, let's do the Bill Clinton style. Hey there, all, I got a problem, right? He shows up and they say, that's it, you're fucked up. We need to admit you. Sign here, you're now a ward of the hospital. Every time I've gone to the hospital, folks, I sign a piece of paper where they're going to make sure they take care of me the way they see fit. And I'm thinking, as long as I have 2 arms and 2 legs, I can fight my way out of this fucking little medical prison. But yeah, they basically own your ass once you sign that piece of paper. It's almost like a waiving of your legal rights. So that may be why he just happened to be in Southern California and he couldn't stand it anymore. It would seem, though, that a former president of the United States, especially one with Bill Clinton's clout, that he would have a private physician or 2. Remember, he was with Hillary and Huma Abedin. Hillary and Huma and Bill, don't they have their own private physicians as, you know, former Secretary of State, former U.S. Senator Hillary, the witch Clinton, especially with her medical condition that would cause her legs to turn to jello and she would fall down and wipe out. I mean, she's had some ongoing health problems, like that time she was coughing up some weird fucking rocks and spitting them in a glass during her presidential campaign. It was fucking weird. These people are sick. And by sick, I mean they're sick. They need to see a doctor. Probably an exorcist, too. All right. Anyways, let's move on. Yeah, so that's my guess as to why he went into a Southern California hospital. But back east, Colin Powell checked into a back east hospital, and look what happened to him. Wow. Chester Wolf, the Griffin, says, I work around a lot of people that have taken the Jim Jones juice. When I'm around them, I start feeling lightheaded and dizzy, and I've been feeling like crap. Thank you for sharing that openly, Chester Wolf. I myself sometimes have felt kind of crappy. As of late, I've had knee pain, something I haven't had in many years. I've done a good job of trying to repair the damage that I did stomping around in combat boots. At my weight, 265, 270 pounds, taking care of my knees has always been critical. And for some reason, in the last 6 weeks, I've had incredible amounts of knee pain for no particular reason. I'm not powerlifting. I'm not doing strongman anymore. I haven't lifted any cars off of anybody. I was gonna say I've done some lifting, but not any cars. I haven't done anything with heavy leg work. I haven't been. I do cardio, but I don't run and pound on them. So it's interesting, folks. Just ask around. And I know that people that spend a lot of time around those who have taken the Jim Jones juice, they just don't feel quite right. And so the second part of the question is, what are you taking? A lot of people are taking aspirin, Tylenol, NyQuil to deal with some of the symptoms they feel after being around others. I don't think the cerveza bug is the problem. I think the cure is becoming the problem. That is what I am thinking is a potential. Once again, right, I'm hypothesizing. I have a theory that I'm working with, and I don't have a preconceived answer already in place. I'm just looking for reports from you guys, what you are dealing with, so I can see if it makes any sort of sense. I've gotten reports from several preppers And I'm curious to see what else is out there as far as what parts of the body hurt, internal, external, muscular, skeletal, what pharmaceuticals or over-the-counter aids are being taken to deal with it. So let's move on with Militant Roots. Says, millions will die even if all of this madness stops right this minute. The damage has been done. I agree. Millions have already died and will continue to die as a consequence of Kool-Aid, not Kool-Aid, as a consequence of government rules and mandates, as a consequence of the destruction of the economy, the impact upon the food, agricultural creation of. We need farms, folks. That's where food comes from. I'm not talking to you, but the folks behind you that think that food comes from a supermarket. Agricultural production, processing, whether it's canned, fresh, freeze-dried, distributed into a warehouse system, into stores, into your cupboards. There's going to be a lot of hungry people, folks. And again, the last video I did with regard to people's attitude towards others, the injured dog that bites other dogs, or the injured cat. Or, in fact, I talked to somebody whose dad was a veterinarian, and he said, hey, yeah, injured dogs, they bite everybody. They're trying to help the dog in the veterinary office, but the dog's injured and they tend to snip. Ouch, that hurts. We say ouch with our mouth. They say it with their mouth, but they bite you. The injured animal attacks those around it, not really understanding. Understand that when it gets really bad out here, people are going to be lashing out a lot more. And if you're already lashing out at people that are good, but you're lashing out at them because one thing you disagree with, or you don't like their attitude, or their whatever, right? If you're lashing out at people already, that means they are winning the psychological war. You are becoming a casualty of their efforts, their psyop, if you can't keep it together at this level, because it's going to get a lot worse. And when it's that high, when it's off the screen that high, how are you going to react? If already you're throwing a fit, if already you're screaming at the top of your lungs, we need to take action, call to action, when clearly it's not time, right? We need to be cautious and wary and understand what is happening. So Blue Cord Devil checks in and says, hey, not looking forward to flying to Ohio with my wife and this rub off from others with her cancer. Well, number one, I wish you and your wife well and a successful and speedy recovery from any cancer. I don't want anyone who's had any operation, folks, from your toes to your nose, from your eyes to a hair transplant, whatever it is you're doing and needing done, I want you, and I don't care who you are, recover from that. I want people to live a long, good, healthy life full of happiness and joy. We're just going to have to deal with some shit. It's the fan for the time being, huh? But yeah, definitely. Now, again, I'm not a doctor, and I cannot on YouTube discuss therapies. I can't discuss particular pharmaceuticals. I'm not allowed. I can't do it on camera. Isn't that fucking stupid? Anyways, the point is there are things that doctors can get you. And we do have, I believe, links to medical access at thepreparedmind.club. Jolene, if that's correct, just put a big fat yes up on the screen, if you will, and say, yes, we have a link to get people medical access. That thing that President Barack Hussein Barry Soetoro Obama said, all people, all Americans, all people have a right to medical access. If we have that link available so people can get a hold of a real doctor and get real medical access, and the answer is yes. Thank you, Jolene, very much. I love you. You're great. That really meant a lot to me personally, as well as it meant a lot to John. me, Jim, means a lot to all of us that you actually got that link at the preparedmind.club, so you can electronically get online with a real medical professional, a doctor, somebody that can help take care of your medical needs. There are prescriptions available for you to deal with symptoms that arise due to your exposure to cerveza madness. And folks, it is hysteria. It is madness. Thank you again, Jolene. Yeah, all done for the day. Remember, folks, the gig is finally up, right? Sometimes you guys may notice I cuss a little more than other times. Well, John tends to cuss a little more. Jim tends to cuss a little less. I think I'm a little more handsome than John. John is absolutely certain that he's the bigger ladies' man. But there are two of us here, and that is how we get so much done. That's the trick in construction. It's the trick everywhere I've gone my whole life. And I just wanted to let you guys know, yep, there's two of us. So that's why some people have discovered addresses in Mississippi and Texas and Alaska. The Prepared Mind Network, we're full of all kinds of surprises. And we also are full of all kinds of misdirection. Because why would we give our opponents, our adversaries, and you know the biblical word for adversary, right? We want to give them a hard time. We want to make it difficult for them to stop us from doing everything we can to work with you guys to get as many people as possible prepared for shit hitting the fan. Because folks, it has hit and it's going to get worse. And chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. Semper Fi, Godspeed. And folks, Jim here wishing you a good night. And I'll be back with you tomorrow and certainly for the next 2 weeks until we can get John back on the air. You guys be cool.